Hey guys, what's up? I was going to upload this video on my Warehouse 9 channel, which is my other channel, because I'm probably not even going to edit it, I'm just going to ramble, but I want some feedback, I do. I want some video responses from people, and I think it would increase the likelihood of getting feedback from people if I upload it on my main channel, which has like 5 times more subscribers than my other channel. And if you didn't know I had another channel, I posted a link of it down in the little box, so go check me out over there too. Okay. First, before I get to the video, thanks for all the birthday wishes. You guys totally rocksters, my boxers. Except for the guy who sent me the pubes. You didn't leave a return address or a name on that envelope, which is fine, it's cool. I'm just gonna have to go find me a prostitute, kill her, rape her, not in that order, and then sprinkle your pubes all over her lifeless corpse. And then when the police come up to you and arrest your ass, your face is gonna be so red. And that's what you get. That's what you get for fucking mailing me a fucking Ziploc bag filled with your goddamn pubes, you son of a bitch. I hope you died of herpes. Now, I wanted to make a video about this for a long time. I never really felt like it though, or I forgot, whatever. I want to talk to you guys about progressive taxes, because I don't think people really fully understand exactly how they work, okay? So, here we go. Guy over here, alright, makes $100. Guy over here makes $1,000. Now, the way progressive taxes works is that they call it progressive taxes because they're essentially progressing from another form of tax. Now, for this example, we use a flat tax. Let's say the flat tax is 10%. 10% of your income goes to taxes, and that can be divided up between the state and the federal government and, you know, Social Security and all that shit. But 10% of your income, taxes. And then we'll progress from there. So the guy who made $100 is paying $10 in taxes, and the guy who made $1,000 is paying $100. Now, the way progressive taxes will work is the government will look at the guy who made $100 and say, whoa, we can't take $10 from me. He didn't make a shitload of money. That's not fair to you. You need as much of that as you possibly can in order to get, by with the bare minimum. So instead of $10, we're only going to take like $2 from you, 2%. And then they look at the guy who made $1,000 and they say, whoa, dude, you made a shit ton of money. We're going to take a little bit more from you because you were more successful. So the guy who was supposed to pay $100 is now paying $250. Now, where does that money go? Well, a portion of those tax dollars are mostly paid for by people who made more money because they get taxed more. The way with progressive taxes, those tax dollars are going to go fund socialist programs like welfare and food stamps and all that shit. Which the guy who only made $100 and people like him, below poverty line, are going to be able to take advantage of. This essentially. And people, and politicians, mostly liberal politicians who design these kinds of programs, I mean, their hearts are in the right place. I mean, I'm not saying they're evil politicians who want to eat a baby. That's not what I'm saying. At all, and I'm going to complain about this here in a sec, but what the politicians are doing is they're essentially penalizing the guy who made more money and taking his money and giving it to the guy who made very little money to make sure that he can get by with a bare minimum. Now, I have a problem with this for several reasons. Number one, people who don't make that much money and don't have to pay any taxes and end up benefiting from programs that are essentially being paid for by people who make more money become dependent on these programs. And if all of your basic needs are essentially met through these programs and the very little money that you make, what incentive do you have at that point to make more money? You don't have any fucking incentive. The guy who made $100 has no fucking incentive now to work harder and make more money. Why? Why would he want to? I mean, he's being taken care of by the tax dollars of the guy who made a shit ton more money than him. What does he want to do? Does he want to work harder so he can make $1,000 and end up paying for some other poor fucker who doesn't want to work that hard? Why the fuck would somebody want to do that? So yeah, those are essentially how progressive taxes work when combined with the social programs designed to help out the poor. Now, I disagree with this tax structure. I do, because it essentially penalizes people for being successful, and it allows those who aren't willing to work to get by with the bare minimum, and it doesn't give them an incentive to make more if all of their basic needs are essentially being met. It's not the guy who made more money. It's not his fault that the guy over here didn't make that much. It's not his fault. Why should he be penalized? Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I think altruism, in a sense, is a good thing. I think if someone who is more successful, I think it should be promoted. It should be a promoted concept that, hey, you know, it's a good thing to give back a little bit to the little guy who doesn't have that much and try to help him out. I do, but I don't think it should be enforced. I think it should be a choice. And people have that choice. They can donate to charitable organizations that are designed to help people out who are in, you know, financial need, or, you know, have, you know, fallen and need a pick-me-up from their community. Yeah, charities. You know, people can give to them, you know, voluntarily. I think it's great, and I think people should, and I think if more people understood how charities work, like the tax benefits that you get from donating to charities, that people will be more likely to donate to charities. I know back in the old days it was a pain in the ass. You know, you had to call up, you know, some telethon was going on, you had to give your pledge, and nowadays it's not that fucking hard. I mean, nowadays, I remember when the Haiti earthquake happened, and all you had to do was pull out your cell phone and send a text message, and they would add the $10 onto your cell phone bill. It's not that hard nowadays. It's really not that hard to give a little something back. It really isn't. And a lot of people are more willing to do it. And I think a lot of people are turned off by the idea of charities because they don't understand how to go about finding good charities, because they hear about, you know, scams and things like that and don't understand what to look for. I think you know, if I was in charge of the education system in America in the public schools, I'd probably design a mandatory course that went into, you know, tax structure and charities, and taught people about all these, you know, programs to, you know, to raise awareness, I guess you could say, so that, you know, and it would probably give people more of an incentive to give a little back. I don't like the idea of people being taxed a higher percentage just because they made more money, and then using that money to fund programs to ensure that people who didn't work that hard and didn't make that much money are able to get by with the bare minimum because they just become dependent on these programs. Now, that's the problem I have with liberalism. Essentially, is the socialist programs, or social programs, and progressive tax structure. Now, I don't think that makes me a conservative. I would define myself as a libertarian. I'm a big fan of low taxes, small government, and maximizing the freedom of the individual. As long as you're not, you know, infringing on anyone else's rights, I think you have the right to do and live your life as you see fit. You know, and God forbid, oh, someone believes something like that, but I do. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, you're like that How the World Works guy, that Lee Doran. He's a libertarian too. Well, yeah. Yeah, I'm a libertarian. He's a libertarian. Problem is, I don't always side with the right. In fact, I almost always side with the liberal when it comes to politics on any level of government, and I'll tell you why. Despite the fact that I'm disgusted with the social programs that are pushed for by the left and high taxes, I can adapt. I can adapt to any kind of economic environment. It's not that hard, for me at least. I've experienced times where I had no money. I've experienced times when I had a lot of money. I've experienced times when things were going well for my parents and things weren't going so well, for my parents, and we struggled, and sometimes we didn't struggle, and so I've lived in good neighborhoods. I've lived in bad neighborhoods because of our financial situations. In fact, I've even lived in a couple of homeless shelters. So I've experienced both sides of the coin as far as economics goes, or economic level. And I can adapt to any kind of environment just because I've experienced a little bit of everything, except for maybe like upper class, like upper class. No, I don't have that kind of money, never have, and I wasn't born into it, so I'll probably never have it unless, of course, I make something of myself, or like become like a big old famous YouTube celebrity and like invest in Apple or some shit. Assuming, of course, that the iPad 2 is actually worth buying, and they're going to come out with one. But I refuse to adapt to any kind of social structure in which there are some Americans who aren't granted the same rights as other Americans, or where we systematically create second-class citizens because people are bigots, etc. Which is why I will almost never vote for a Republican candidate as far in politics. I just can't do it. I supported Obama. I would have voted for Obama, but my vote would have meant nothing because I was actually living in Idaho during the presidential campaign, and he wasn't going to win Idaho. I think I was the only person who would have voted for Obama in the state of Idaho had I voted, but I was rooting for him to win. I was, because socially, I'm socially liberal, as far as, civil rights and, gay marriage, all that shit. But as far as economics and tax structure and, welfare programs and things like that, those make me sick. But not sick enough for me to want to vote for a Republican. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, feedback would be great. If you guys want to, argue, debate, whatever. I mean, my mind, I'll keep an open mind. I mean, I'm willing to change my mind if you're persuasive enough. So, if you think I'm wrong on any points that I've made, or if I've said anything that might be, factually incorrect, feel free to correct me. But yeah. Post a video response if you want. I'll watch them all. I will on this particular video anyway. So yeah, good stuff.